Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So a big explosion, if you will, where mess is concerned, happened down there at Fox Sports, Fox News, if you will, and it really and truly is a hot dumpster fire of a mess. Now there is a woman by the name of Nushin Faraji. I'm just going to call her Faraji because I probably butchered her first name. I apologize. Who is filing a lawsuit. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it is a class action. So she's filing a lawsuit on behalf of herself and other women who are alleging the same things that she is alleging against some of the same people she is alleging it against. Now, some of these allegations have to do with her allegedly, y'all know I have to say allegedly, along with some of these other women who are unnamed at the moment, being R-rated harassed. Y'all know I have to say it like that because YouTube be tripping for being almost allegedly, to some degree, almost being R-rated assaulted, if you will, for being in a workplace, for allegedly Fox being a workplace that is unsafe, where women are harassed and basically given ultimatums like, oh, if you sleep with me, I'll help you get this, or I'll only help you move from this point to that point within your career if you sleep with me, etc. Allegations of that nature. Now, there are a lot of people involved with this, y'all, so buckle your seatbelts and just get ready for some hot mess, like I said before. Now, I'm going to do the best I can to summarize all of this, so just bear with me. Now, allegedly, there are some things in the court documents of the lawsuit that they talked about that led up to this. Also, some other people, like I said, included, which is why she's suing so many people. Well, so many defendants, if you will. Fox Sports, I believe FS1, FS2. She's also suing Charlie Dixon, the executive vice president of Fox Sports. Also Skip Bayless, we all know who he is, and Joy Taylor, who's a co-host / network host, commentator for the sports network, if you will. Now, allegedly, Faraji and Joy were friends. This goes all the way back to 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Allegedly, Faraji was working with the network part-time, but somewhere along the way, I want to say 4 years later, maybe she got on full-time. From what I can understand to some degree, Joy helped her do that by introducing her to Charlie Dixon. Allegedly, this was happening whenever Faraji and Joy would go out and spend time together, go out for drinks, whatever. And Joy would bring Charlie Dixon, which was apparently, allegedly, Joy's idea, to these sessions, to these, them hanging out, having drinks or whatever. Now, this was not something allegedly that Faraji was going to be aware of, or something that she was aware of that she was going to do. This is something that Joy did without telling her in advance, and something she continued to do, which is how she met Charlie Dixon. Now, allegedly, one of the things she's suing him for in this lawsuit, she alleges that at a birthday party for Joy one day, when they were getting drinks, etc., having the party, he goes up to her asking her, oh, how are you doing? Are you having fun, etc.? Doing things like putting his hand on her back, sliding his hand across her back, and then allegedly grabbed her rear end during this moment. And this was allegedly back in January of 2017. She responded by trying to confide in the only person who she thought she could, Joy Taylor. And unfortunately, allegedly, she responded by saying, get over it. Essentially letting her know, I guess, subtly, that this kind of stuff happens on the regular, and also responded by basically saying, don't cause problems by trying to go to HR or report him because he could fire us both. He could take it out on us both. That was the first red flag, of course, but unfortunately, there are a lot of women and men who deal with stuff like this regularly at the workplace. Unfortunately, they get R-rated harassed, if you will, and they can't say anything because they could get fired. It'll be their word against the CEOs, the manager, the bosses, whoever it is. And of course, we all know whose word they're going to take, especially if you're a minority. Now, Faraji is also alleging in this lawsuit that there was a former employee, a woman, who came to her and confided in her and told her that she, and I quote, wouldn't be working with Fox Sports after she refused to have sex with Dixon in order to have her contract renewed, end quote. That this person who came to her anonymously was low-key trying to let her know that the both of them, were not the first two women, so to speak, who he had allegedly done this to. Once again, y'all know I have to say allegedly. Now, a lot of people are asking, okay, why is she suing Fox Sports then? Well, she's alleging that they knew it was like this, that they knew that their vice president, their executive vice president, was doing this to people and was covering it up. There are even people alleging that she alleged that she went to HR and that they did nothing, that multiple women before her allegedly went to HR, and the retaliation was that they were fired because, oh, we can't have you going around trying to get justice for being assaulted or treated poorly in the workplace. And there's some credibility here because we all know, or if you've been working to any degree, any amount of time, you know that HR is raggedy. They need to rename it Inhumane Resources because they don't help people. They're put in place to help the company. Something happens to you, they're going to talk you out of doing anything or try to get you fired so that they could smooth it all over and, keep rubbing shoulders with each other, the people who run stuff. And it's sad that our system is set up that way, but unfortunately it is. So I can believe these details from experience of having to deal with HR when the people in charge do stuff that's not right, do stuff that's raggedy. And it's also very believable that this could happen in an industry like the sports industry, where there's not a whole lot of women working in these industries and in these places, and it is run amok with men who don't have self-control or respect for women. Now, Skip Bayless is involved in this as we continue with our summary because she was allegedly hired on as his once-a-week hairstylist. She was supposed to give him a haircut once a week. Started off with being normal, then being cordial, even friendly-like. Then he started to cross boundaries, touching her, making unsolicited comments, trying to press his body against hers. Basically, the standard 0 please get away from me, where people, men, and this is not to shade men, this is not all men who do this, the men who do this, their usual go-to method to harass women in the workplace, the R-rated way, if you get my drift. By 2021 of July, allegedly, according to Faraji, after all of these instances of him trying to, and I quote, find excuses to touch her and also continuously make advances toward her, she tried to tell him that she may have had cancer, allegedly, the ovarian type, allegedly, that there's something wrong with her ovaries, and that was why that she just did not want to engage in these activities, that, she's having problems in the area, of course, of where he would be interested in, if you get my drift. Basically trying to connect with him on an empathy and compassion level, which he threw in the trash, and still continue allegedly to make advances towards her to try and get her to sleep with him. Now, she also alleged that he tried to pay her $1.5 million to sleep with him while all of this was happening. Now, this is a part where I'm going to make this comment because I think it's necessary. Somebody has to be a mature adult in this situation. These kind of situations are very hard to talk about sometimes, and it's messed up for the people involved who are actual victims, and even people who are victims in outside situations looking at this, because you'll have these kind of situations, whether or not she's telling the truth. There will have been people who were offered money by CEOs, managers, district managers, business owners to sleep with them, either for whatever, just to get the money or to get an advancement in their career. And if they actually do blow the whistle or file a lawsuit and it all becomes public and blows up all over social media, some of the first things that comes out of people's mouths, and it's so raggedy and disgusting and disturbing to me, is who would want to pay you X amount of money to do that with them? I cannot express to y'all how disgusting that really is to say about somebody. You don't know how somebody looks in the eyes of another person. Once again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there have already been people saying, oh, look at her photos. Who would want to pay $1.5 million to sleep with her? Skip Bayless doesn't even have that kind of money. First of all, you don't know what kind of money that guy has. He could have stocks and bonds, stuff saved up, all kinds of things that y'all don't know anything about, investments for all we know. And second of all, once again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What you might think is unattractive, somebody else might think is gold. So to say, oh, somebody's not attractive enough for them to be harassed or, told, oh, I could pay you this amount of money, some little change to do something strange, as they used to say, oh, you're not attractive enough for that. It's really disgusting, and it is really disturbing that that is how our society and the black community, because there's a lot of black people making these comments, I'm gonna call them out. It is really sad and disturbing that that is the response to this kind of accusation, these kind of allegations. And a lot of people, it's a joke to them because they don't think it's true. They don't think it actually happened. But it's like, okay, this is why I keep saying be careful what you mock and scoff, because what if it turns out she is telling the truth? Y'all know we have to say that, and allegedly this, allegedly that. What if it turns out all of this is true and he did actually offer her that kind of money? Then what? Now you look like a heinous, disgusting person for saying somebody was not attractive enough to be sexually harassed on the job, in the workplace. Which is why some people just need to not say anything at all. But unfortunately, when you have these kind of situations come up in the media, this is what you get, unfortunately. I could go off on a tangent, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get back to the summary. Now, she told him allegedly, I have a son I'm trying to take care of. I'm coming to work to do my job so I can make the money I need to take care of him. And that's it. I don't want to have sex with you. And then she found a reason to get the heck out of Dodge, to get away from him, basically. But allegedly, that did not stop him. He still kept coming after her, pursuing her. Allegedly, there was even an incident where she told him, sir, you have a wife. That's crazy. I didn't even know that Skip Bayless was married. You have a wife. And this is another thing that I told y'all is messed up when these situations come up, because people were Googling pictures of his wife, talking about his wife, saying that she was unattractive. Oh, I can see why he'd want to cheat on her. Which is messed up, because if you don't think that she's attractive, that is your opinion. That woman and her physical appearance has nothing to do with this situation and what Skip Bayless allegedly decided to do in his alleged harassment. Y'all know I have to say allegedly, of this woman. But yet and still, you even had grown behind adults in the community, content creators, YouTubers, pulling up pictures of this woman, making fun of her. Imagine you minding your own business and your husband has you up on somebody's content creator page for no reason, because he messing with some woman and now she done blew the whistle on him, which she has the right to do if he was actually messing with her. It's just messed up. Like I said, I wanted to point out something else that's just raggedy that happens in this situation. His wife did not deserve that shade, nor did she deserve those strays that she caught from these people because of this situation. Anyways, though, I'm getting off the tangent again. She basically said, sir, you have a wife. And he responded by saying, oh, well, in your religion or whatever, didn't your father have multiple wives? Which is really messed up and actually quite racist. Let's just be honest. And also to use that to justify harassing someone, it's pretty messed up. Although she responded to that by basically saying, sir, my father is past tense. Again, where did the empathy go? Where did the empathy go, y'all? Although allegedly that still didn't stop him. So he went so far as to allegedly, according to Faraji, assume that she was sleeping with Shannon Sharpe. Now, I don't know what in the world would make him think that. We all know Shannon Sharpe wasn't sleeping with that woman. Now, is there a chance that we could be wrong? Of course. But let's be honest. We all know he wasn't sleeping with that woman. But for some reason, he had it in his mind that Shannon Sharpe was screwing this lady, and I guess got jealous. And a lot of people were saying, they were making fun of this woman, saying she wasn't attractive enough to be harassed. But then at the same time, they were saying, oh, well, this happens a lot in the corporate setting and in the sports industry. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, make up your mind. Don't be a hypocrite. Do you believe what she's saying? Do you think it has some credibility? Or does this happen all the time? Make up your mind. It's the hypocrisy for me. But again, people were saying, okay, we can kind of understand if this is a truth, why Skip Bayless blew up during that one segment of Undisputed with Shannon Sharpe, trying to talk about him and insult his talent and all this kind of stuff, even though he's pretty solidified, he's a Hall of Famer. But he really tried to go in and disrespect Shannon Sharpe. It's real messed up. Kind of had some racial undertones, if you ask me, as well. Talking about some put your glasses back on. A lot of people were saying this man was jealous of Shannon. They all thought that maybe it was because he was such a good football player before he retired. But that could also have been why as well. He was mad because he felt like he was screwing the woman that he wanted to be with so badly, even though he had a whole wife. But people were saying, like I said before, it would make sense as to why he was so angry at Shannon during that time. Now, she is alleging that it was Charlie Dixon who was behind her being fired because, I quote, she knew too much and was talking. She also stated, and according to the lawsuit, and I quote, Ms. Faraji has suffered and continues to suffer losses in earnings, losses in other employment benefits, losses in other financial aspects. Furthermore, she has suffered and continues to suffer emotional distress, shame, embarrassment, and fear, all to her damage in an amount to be proven at the time of trial. When Ms. Faraji and others came forward to report the wrongdoing, instead of addressing their concerns, Fox retaliated against them, while the perpetrators and those who protected them were inexplicitly promoted, end quote. So once again, if it is true that she went through all of this, that she did go to Fox, she did go to HR, her superiors, to try and get help for them to address what was going on and do something, and they did not do something, they may as well go ahead and run that lady her coins right now. People keep forgetting about these things called workplace policies, code of ethics, what's right. They keep forgetting about these things. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And that if something is done unethically or even illegally, they tell you, oh, well, you're supposed to go to HR, tell the boss, do all this stuff. It's really a setup because, once again, you get fired anyways, but at least you did all of what you could so that if you have the grounds and the proof to file a lawsuit, that'll be more credibility to you. I tried to go to HR. I went to the superiors. I went to the boss, even though he was the one who was doing it. And they wouldn't stop. They did nothing. They knew what was going on. I have proof. I recorded. I did this. I did that. I have a text message of him saying, oh, I'll give you 1.5 if you sleep with me. And that's if you can get proof, because most of the time you can't, unfortunately, which allows these people to get away with it. But once you've gone through all those avenues and they didn't do what they were supposed to, once again, a lawsuit is the only next option. And again, if she has proof that all this has happened and they didn't do anything, once again, just go ahead and run that lady her coins. And not just her, but also all these other women who are making these allegations that are all part of this class action. Now, some people were asking, why was Joy a part of the lawsuit as well? Why is she listed amongst the defendants? Well, if you were listening during that part of the summary where I said that whenever this woman went to her and told her all of what was happening, she basically was like, I don't want to hear that. Get over it. So what? If you say anything, we could both be fired. He could both take away our jobs. So play by the rules. So essentially, when you look at it really deeply, this woman was contributing to and enabling an unsafe work environment, or a hostile work environment, an environment where people are being harassed and nothing is being done. And I already know that some people with their mediocre mindset is going to say, well, it wasn't Joy's job to stop the harassment if that's what happened. Well, it's also not Joy's job to contribute to it. If you're not man or woman enough to stop it, or if you don't have the power to stop it, at least don't contribute to it. Or enable the people, further help the people that are doing the harassing. Now, she also talked about in the lawsuit that, and I quote, Taylor began insulting Miss Faraji on a personal and professional level after their friendship ended. Faraji, who is of Persian descent, also claims Taylor mocked the English pronunciation of her name, end quote. She also allegedly compared this woman to a dog, which is mad disrespectful if any of y'all don't know, and also made some comments that were racially charged, if you will, concerning her being a Muslim and being of Persian descent. Now, some of these more racially charged comments, if I'm not mistaken, according to the documents that I regret that I was not able to obtain for this video to show you like in other YouTube channels, apparently that was after their relationship had deteriorated and they had fell out, basically. Although there is no excuse, nor is there a justification for being racially disrespectful and derogatory towards somebody. Once again, there are workplace policies, these things called codes of ethics. Otherwise, they would prevent or should prevent people from doing this to people in the workplace. I guess all that got thrown out the window down there at Fox Sports. As I was mentioning before, when it comes to lawsuits and filing lawsuits against people, even if it's just a coworker, when you bring somebody's race or religion into it, trying to be disrespectful or derogatory, that'll get you too. She's better than me because if this all happened, I would have sued her again on the account of racial discrimination in the workplace. So allegedly, to make this make sense, because some people are saying, okay, wait a minute, when did they fall out and not be friends anymore? But they were, once again, remember, up until she started inviting Charlie Dixon allegedly to their outing as friends. And then when she decided, maybe I don't want advances made towards me allegedly, I want to do something about it, she felt like, oh, you finna mess up the bag, because clearly Joy allegedly was okay with sleeping around and sleeping her way to the top or anywhere on the job, if you will. And she didn't feel like it was okay for Faraji to report this. Once again, she was of the mindset of, oh, you're going to mess up the bag. And it's really sad that people would think that way. And it's also sad, I keep telling y'all, the response to some of these things, observe the response. It's very disgusting. There are some people really looking at this and saying, oh, so your friend helped get you on, and then you listened to all her secrets, found out all her secrets, and then threw her under the bus and filed this lawsuit against them and her after she helped you get the bag. And in my mind, I'm like, what in the world voices are you listening to in your head that would help you come to that conclusion? Because from what it seems like to me, looking at this, reading these documents, and seeing what she alleged, yes, it is possible that by introducing Faraji to Charlie Dixon, that helped her career, that helped her get from one point to the next. But she didn't tell Faraji, she wasn't 100% honest with this woman. Oh, by the way, in order to repay them for this or keep going from one point to the next, you have to sleep around. You got to give into their advances. So really, if you think about it, instead of looking at it from a surface level or from a carnal, perverse mindset, Joy screwed her over. Let's just be honest. It's giving when you were in high school and you told your friend, oh, I need a job that makes better than minimum wage. And your friend says, oh, come to the party with me. I got somebody who I want to introduce you to. And then they introduce you to their pimp. Oops, I forgot to tell you, by the way, the job that makes more money, buku money, you got to sell yourself out. You got to pimp yourself out. That's basically, if we're going to really be honest, if it's all true, what Joy was doing by sleeping with these different men to get where she was going. So once again, what it seems like to me is she wasn't honest with this woman on what these men were going to do or ask of her. And she could have told her that, hey, if you want to go from part-time to full-time, working for this guy, that guy, they're probably going to approach you with some, crazy stuff for you to do. Is that something you would be interested in? And at that point, she would have said, absolutely not. And she would have been like, okay, well, then I probably shouldn't introduce you to these people because you're not going to want to do those things. Now, another reason why Joy Taylor may also be in this lawsuit, a very messed up reason, once again, buckle your seatbelts because the rabbit hole goes even deeper with this one. Faraji alleged that after meeting all these people, seeing their interactions, her with people like Charlie Dixon, once again, and Emmanuel Acko, that she realized, or at least came to the conclusion, just from the surface level, that they might have been sleeping together, her and Emmanuel Acko. This is something she alleged. She said that I could tell from the interactions that they may have been involved in a romantic way, even if they hadn't actually slept together. They were involved. They're a little too buddy-buddy, if you will. Now, noticing this and knowing that she was screwing Charlie Dixon at the time, who she was getting all of her advancements in her career from, allegedly, she, which is something that a friend would do, whether y'all want to believe this or not, everybody talks about how they want real friends. But whenever real friends be a real friend to you, now you want to be mad and be in your feelings and be offended. She basically decides to be a good friend and tells her, sis, I don't think you should boo-boo where you eat, so to speak. In other words, I don't think you should be screwing Charlie Dixon or having him under the impression, if that's what you're doing, that you're only screwing him for these workplace advancements while screwing Emmanuel behind his back. That's not a good idea. I don't think you want to do that. Allegedly, the reputation for Charlie Dixon was basically being that he would get his get back if he felt like he was being gotten over on, if you get my drift. To which Joy Taylor responded by telling Faraji, oh, he's not going to do anything if he tries to fire me or get me back for screwing Emmanuel Acko or doing whatever I want to on the workplace. I'll just tell everybody that he essayed me. Yes, you heard me correctly. She threatened to weaponize SA against this man, the executive vice president of Fox Sports, if he tried to fire her or if she was at risk for losing her job, only as a direct result of her raggedy, perverse actions. And another sad part about this is not very many people are even addressing this. And I'm going to go ahead and say this because it's the truth, and the truth shall be told today on this channel. If her skin was a little bit darker, forget all of the allegedlys and if this is true this, if this is true that, they would already be dragging her for utter and absolute filth and bringing everybody else who had nothing to do with it along with them, simply because they look the same, further fueling the generalizations and stereotypes. Now, what adds some credibility to the allegations that Faraji made about her sleeping around with Emmanuel Acko, we're going to go back to our analogy. What gave this legs to stand on and then take off running and jump off the deep end was when he made this video that's now deleted, but people saved it. I done told y'all already. Anything you post on this internet is forever. People still have the downloaded video that they've been reposting on their channels of him, gassing up Joy into oblivion. Oh, I gotta tell you about my co-host. She worked so hard to get where she is. And now people are questioning, okay, well, what work exactly did she do? You're talking about she worked hard. What did she do? Now they're all asking the question, and the way he was talking about her, like I said, gassing her up, now it really looks questionable on his part. And him taking the video down makes it even more questionable because now it looks like he was bragging about all of what she would do, if you get me, if you get my drift, to get where she had to go. Once again, this is why people are saying, there's a little credibility to this. It's a little shady. It's making sense. It's starting to actually make sense. Another thing that we need to address is Mr. Emmanuel Acko over here calling Joy Taylor a black woman, when we all know the reason why she was able to navigate the way that she did is because she's not a black woman. Or at least she doesn't look like it by media's standards, by society's standards. She has and definitely benefits off of what they call light skin privilege, and also she has what they call pretty privilege. I'm not the first person to talk about this concerning this woman. She talked about this herself in a podcast with people, how when she was in college, she reaped the benefits of being a pretty light-skinned, voluptuous woman who didn't even have to bring money to the bar whenever she would go out because people would pay for her to eat, have drinks, and make sure she got back home wherever she was going safely. And it opens the door for people to play these stupid games and to play in our faces as they have multiple times in the media, too many times for us to act like it does not happen. Because at one point, she could act like, oh, I'm biracial. And then the next point, because people have been, once again, slapping a black identity on her, like this goofy behind dude, Emmanuel Acko. Now, because people are looking at her like she's crazy, and they're accusing her of allegedly, y'all know I have to say allegedly, attempting to claim SA if she had to pay for her consequences or possibly lose her job because of what she was doing. And now she's being looked at like some kind of loose prostitute, essentially. Now she's black. Now everybody wants to say she's black and to associate her with blackness. We see what you're doing. It's disgusting. We really want it to stop, but I guess it's too much like right for people to stop it. Another thing that we really do need to address, and it becomes a real issue, people end up at each other's throats, but we got to tell the truth. I told y'all before, we're going to talk about the truth. We're going to tell the truth on this channel. One thing we really have to acknowledge is that this situation is being used to cause division, confusion, and it's also being used to double down on disgusting stereotypes and stigmas of certain people. I've heard a lot of comments, unfortunately mostly from men, talking about some goofy behind mess. You women messed up the bag. This is why y'all can't have anything. This is why y'all can't work in certain places. It's all y'all's fault. I keep saying these issues, they are a two-part issue, if you will. It takes two people to tango, if you will. And if we're really going to be honest on whose fault it actually is, it's the people in leadership. All of these people, these men, let's just be blatantly honest. This is not any shade. This is not man bashing. This is just the truth because they're the ones in charge. All of these people at the top in high places who use their power to manipulate people. They know people are looking for jobs. They know people have bills to pay, and they know some people will crumble. It's not even about I'm just going to willingly throw all my morals down to do what you want. Some people are struggling. And while I've said that there are some things we should not do for money, there are people out there who will break. And that's what some people don't think whenever they're talking about people like a dog who crumble in these situations. There are people like Joy who decided, I'm going to use my cooch, if you will, to get wherever I want to, and I'm choosing to do it consensually. Meanwhile, you do have the people like Faraji who are like, I don't want to do that. And unfortunately, there's a third type of people who don't want to do it, but they crumble because they feel like they have no other choice. They're under too much pressure. Again, people don't think about this kind of stuff. So again, if we're going to be blatantly honest, the people who are at fault for why this blew up the way it did are the people in charge, the men who have no self-control, the men who act like animals that lust after whatever has big boobs, big butts, and a vagina in the middle of them. Can we be blatantly honest? They don't know how to be faithful to their own wives. Skip Bayless, apparently, allegedly, y'all know I have to say allegedly. No self-control, no any kind of respect for themselves or anybody's daughter, completely and utterly fueled by their lust and perversion and the money and the power, the influence that comes with their position, helping them in that, again, 100%, affording them the ability to manipulate people, give people ultimatums. Once again, I'm a firm believer in people should still say no, even if you're in a tight bind, so to speak, because it's a slippery slope. It's never as simple as a one-time throw it in a circle and I'll give you a little bit of money. It's never that simple. Although it's hard for women like Joy to do what they do, to use their body to go wherever they want to in the workplace, when you don't have men who aren't offering. It's hard for these kind of women to thrive when you have men who put their foot down and say, we have standards, we have morals, we are not perverse, we are not disgusting human beings who are going to use a woman's body and in exchange give her advancements on the workplace. You're going to use whatever God-given talents you have, whatever skills you developed to get wherever you're going to in this workplace. And if you don't have that, respectfully find somewhere else to work. But unfortunately, Fox and many other workplaces don't have those kind of people, don't have those kind of men in leadership. We can also go into how the men talk about being the leaders of society, the leaders of relationships, whatever relationship it is. But with being a leader comes responsibility, and those responsibilities include being a decent human being, having morals, having standards, not being manipulative, not taking advantage of people, not giving them ultimatums, not using people in these very ungodly, perverse ways. And one more thing, while I'm on this rant, I could argue that men like that, the men like Charlie Dixon, allegedly, who will have women sleeping with them for money, advancements in their career, create women like Joy. Because you know the mindset that a lot of women like Joy have? They really feel like, well, I already know these men don't care about me. They certainly don't love me. They don't give a crap about anything or anybody but themselves and satisfying the lust of their flesh and who they can use to do that. And they want to use women, once again, with big butts, big boobs, and light skin to do that. So why should I use my intelligence? I already know they don't want that. They don't care about that. These people don't care about women who are intelligent, who use their intelligence to get advancements in their career, even though they talk about that's what women should do. They don't care. It's a massive gaslight. They actually don't care about those kind of women. They don't want them. Women like Joy know that these men, a lot of these men in these positions, in places like Fox and all these other kind of industries, only care about the appearance and what a woman can do for them sexually. So why wouldn't she use her appearance and what she could do sexually to get where she wants to go? Once again, in all these videos that are going viral of her on these podcasts, she all but said without saying, if they're going to look at me like a piece of meat, I'm going to act like one because that's how I get what I want. They're not going to give it to me any other kind of way. So I'm going to do it because I want the money, I want the advancements, and I want the position. I want the job. She's expecting them to be mediocre. She's expecting them to not respect her or expect anything out of her except, once again, what she could do for them sexually. And then they go on to prove her right by fulfilling those low, mediocre, perverse expectations. And that finally, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my rant. I'm moving on now. Now, on social media, once again, there are people reminding everybody, because this is another opportunity to do so for those who don't know, that HR is not your friend. If something pops off at the job, something is happening to you that is unethical or illegal, something that's not supposed to be happening, unfortunately, you have to go through those avenues. A bunch of people who don't care about anybody but themselves and their own money. You have to go through those avenues so you can say, I did that. So if it gets to the point where you have to file a lawsuit, they can't say, oh, well, you didn't tell us about this. Lies, lies, lies. You already knew. And on top of that, they weren't crazy. They knew what was going on. All these people be knowing that these little jobs would be going on. These bosses, these HR people, they be knowing. But once again, you got to go through that avenue. So when you file a lawsuit, you can say, I did everything I could. And on top of that, they knew. Now, once again, we got to talk about these people coming up here with these disgusting and heinous comments, especially surrounding something that is this serious. This person on social media said, and I quote, Skip did not like that woman. Skip wanted her because he thought she was with Shannon. He hates Shannon. End quote. Now, before anybody says this, I am aware of the fact that there are some people who are so sick in the head that they will fight somebody or have feelings of animosity towards them simply because they were able to get the attention of someone that they may have wanted or couldn't get the attention of. Or just because, oh, I don't like this person, they're with this person, so now I want that person. And if I can't get them, then I hate them too. Once again, sick in the head. This is some ego-driven mess. I am aware that some people participate in. Once again, they need help, therapy that only God can provide. And people like to brag about how a lot of people are like this, that there are some men like this. Let me let y'all know something. That is not something to brag about. To be so ego-driven, so indecent, and lacking in empathy that you would fight somebody else simply because you want to, because you have some kind of animosity towards them, like I said before, for whatever goofy reason that you shouldn't, that you don't even actually care about the person that you call yourself fighting them over. It's not even about them. It's just about you fighting them. Once again, despite us all knowing that these kind of things happen in real life, that it's the truth, this has nothing to do with the situation. And I don't think it applies to it either. For you to sit up and say, oh, he didn't want her. This is going back to that mentality of, oh, who would want to sleep with her? Look at her. And people are going by her pictures that are on the internet, most of which are blurry. And they keep forgetting that just because a person is attractive in real life, that doesn't mean that their photos are going to always come out looking like platinum gold. You can be very attractive while also not being photogenic. Once again, you can be very attractive, but your pictures still not come out looking like the world's greatest model, so to speak. That's why you have some people who say things like, oh, I saw you in this picture, but when I met you in person, your pictures didn't do you justice. And this comment is shady altogether anyways, because allegedly he didn't start bringing that up about thinking she had slept with Shannon Sharpe until after the fact. That was one of the last things before she had got fired, allegedly. All this other stuff, him offering her the 1.5, that came long before him thinking that she laid down with Shannon Sharpe. And I could be wrong. Maybe he thought that the entire way through. But again, comments like this are shady. But again, this is the kind of messed up, carnal-minded, wicked-minded individuals we have walking around making comments on social media pertaining to somebody who has allegedly gone through something that heinous. And y'all ask why people don't come out when stuff like this happens. Because this is the kind of stuff that they have to deal with. Two more comments that go kind of hand in hand, and I quote, Fox definitely has a reputation with the surprise face emoji, and unfortunately, it happens way too often. People lack integrity, end quote. So apparently this comes as no surprise to some people because allegedly Fox has a reputation for these kind of working environments, and once again, like this person at that bottom comment said, people lack integrity. They lack integrity and respect for other people so much that they would do this to people. Whether or not she's telling the truth, the fact that this happens quite often is really sad. And it shows how much respect people don't have for other people, how much integrity they don't have, how, once again, I've talked about this, people will abuse their power. Unfortunately, it's the go-to. You don't see a whole lot of people in positions high up there with a lot of power and influence who are actually good people of integrity and ethics. Usually, they succumb to all of the devices of the devil, and they don't even put up a fight. The lack of self-control, the lust, the carnality, the perversion, They succumb to it all willingly because they want to. And then they make other people, especially the people who they have a responsibility to, their victims. They put them through misfortunes, like allegedly what this woman is alleging in this lawsuit. Another place that lacks integrity, y'all, is the Black community. And I say that because you had so many people in the community co-signing Joy's actions. Oh, well, if she wants to sleep with whoever she wants to sleep with to get where she wants to go, let her do that. That's her business. We ought to have better integrity and morals than that. The fact that people would think that that's okay is disgusting, and it's really sad. And that's not for me to come off like on a high horse or to judge somebody or condemn somebody. It's to challenge people to have better integrity than that, have more self-respect than that. You might have to take the long route. You might not make as much money, but you ought to respect yourself enough to not pimp yourself out for money. Even if you want to, even if you feel okay with it. That should be something that we should not do. Once again, there are some things we ought not do for money. It's just not okay, and we should not praise it. We should not condone it. We shouldn't be okay with it. Once again, that's not a judgment. That's just my refusal to accept or praise mediocrity and perversion and carnality. And I will call it out because that's what I do on this channel. Once again, it's really sad that you had people sitting up here talking about, oh, she messed up the bag by filing this lawsuit because this woman is out here being unethical and selling herself out for a job, for some paper. You know, society has sunk very low. The community has really thrown their morals in the trash when you have people who really think that mess is okay. But they think it's okay because they want to do it. They think it's okay because if they had the opportunity, if they were in Joy's position, they would do it. And also because some of them are already doing it. They just don't want anybody to call them out for it because their pride and the spirit of offense that they're living in and their fragile ego would then be wounded. And they wouldn't want to have to grapple with the conviction of changing. Somebody else commented something while we're speaking about integrity and doing the right thing that a lot of people have not been thinking about. And I quote, I would hope the well-qualified women that should have gotten Joy's job had enough sense to stay away from Fox as a whole. All money ain't good money. Fox as a whole has a terrible reputation. This whole scandal is a shame, end quote. Once again, there are women who are just as qualified as Joy Taylor, if not more, who deserve that position, who could have gotten that position. But because they wouldn't spread their legs for the position, they got passed over. Everybody wants to complain about what's fair and not fair in the workplace, getting passed over for positions that they qualified for. Meanwhile, other people who aren't qualified for it and who are too incompetent to be doing it, getting it because, they sleep around. When it pertains to themselves. But then when it pertains to other people like Joy Taylor, and bet your bottom dollar because of her aesthetics, all of a sudden it's okay now. Justify it. Oh, get your bag, sis, if that's what you have to do. I'm not going to judge you. Now, y'all can sit up and listen to the people telling y'all that and encouraging y'all to not have integrity if you want to, with these bosses, CEOs, and people at the workplace. But when y'all are in the middle of a lawsuit, being drugged through the mud, having your name drugged through the mud, and you're in trouble because of what you did and it finally caught up with you, you're the one who's going to have to deal with that. Just keep that in mind. Once again, someone commented reminding everybody that there are real people in the real world who deal with situations like this, unfortunately, every day. Be mindful of that people actually go through this. So be careful who you mock and scoff. Take this kind of stuff seriously because there are people who are actually dealing with this stuff and have trauma because of it today. There's somebody else who said, and I quote, nah, we definitely judge and Joy for being married and sleeping with other men, then getting engaged and still sleeping around. She makes it hard for qualified women to get a job, then saying she would lie on a man for SA facepalm emoji, end quote. Once again, her actions need to be condemned. It is messed up because people also didn't know that Joy was allegedly married when she was doing all this, sleeping around with these men, then got caught, was only married to the man for a year. The man found out and was like, oh no, I'm divorcing you. And then got engaged after the marriage and was still sleeping around. So yeah, I think somebody needs to call her out because sometimes that's the only way this stuff gets addressed and corrected. And it's also the only way some of these grown behind individuals that are too old to be doing some of this goofy stuff will ever really face accountability. Once again, somebody on YouTube posed a question, why was Joy getting sued? And I included this post in this kind of thread because I want people to see that it's not just me saying this. Once again, somebody commented under them saying because basically she was complicit in the harassment allegedly. And also, once again, there are workplace rules for a reason. There are a code of ethics for a reason. And also her threatening to be a false accuser, which she does need to face consequences for if it's true that she said that. Once again, whenever people were coming out about Jay-Z and P. Diddy, and then some of them were revealed to be false accusers, they were real quick and disrespectful about, throw them under the bus. But where's all of that energy for Joy Taylor? Once again, I'm going to say this, it's because of her aesthetics. Once again, some more comments that I've talked about where people, when they come out about this kind of stuff, how people mock and scoff and make fun of the details, they think this is a laughing matter and that some people wouldn't actually pay that kind of money to sleep with someone. It's really messed up. And even will say things like, she should have just taken the money because that's a lot of money. But then there was another comment shortly after that was saying it would have been unwise to take the money. One, it's lacking in integrity because you're selling yourself. You're pimping yourself out. This is a lack of respect you have for yourself. And two, as this person said, it's a slippery slope. Do y'all honestly believe that it would have stopped at that one time? 1.5 million, that's a lot of money if he really did say that. He was going to expect her to be at his house, to be at the hotel, to be wherever he wanted her to be, when he wanted her to be there, doing whatever ungodly act he thought he wanted her to do that came to his mind. It's never that simple. Once you say yes, they practically own you. And if anything goes wrong, God forbid, or you decide, I don't want to do this anymore, you're in trouble. It is a slippery slope indeed, which is why it was wise if she did say no and he did do this. It was wise for her to say no, because it's never as simple as people think that it is. And that's where having a broke mindset comes into play, so to speak. You've got to have a broke mindset if you really think it's funny or you would actually do this stuff for that kind of money because you don't understand the hell that actually comes with it. These people are just thinking about the dollar signs, the money, because they don't have that kind of money. They've never come in contact with it. So they're thinking in their mind, if they ever did, they take it. Once again, not knowing what comes with it. And that's not me throwing shade. That's just calling out the truth. Now, this one person on YouTube said that they don't have any sympathy for some of these men out here. I'm saying for some of these men, they were very general. Y'all know I don't do that kind of stuff. For any man that's gonna say you have to sleep with me for your job, or if you want to do this, that, or the other, you have to sleep with me, and then he gets blackmailed, that's 100% his fault. Why you even approach that woman to begin with? You set yourself up. So no, I don't feel sorry for any of these men in this situation because they were going around soliciting these women. They chose to do that because of a lack of self-control, because they're perverted and they're carnal. You don't want to get blackmailed. Leave these women alone. Now, yes, there are some women who still try to do it falsely, but if you didn't do anything, your hands are clean. But no, you don't get sympathy if you were telling women you have to sleep with me in order to get this, that, or the other, for me to let you keep your job. I don't have any sympathy for you whenever you catch your consequences, and that's the way it needs to stay. I get tired of seeing grown behind people coddling grown behind people who chose to make piss poor decisions with intention, who put people in bad positions. And then when those people flip the tables on them, so to speak, or hold them accountable legally, you don't get to whine about, look at what they're doing. They're filing a lawsuit. She's probably lying anyways. No, sir, no, ma'am. You put yourself in this situation. Now deal with it. Now, some people were really asking, where's Shannon Sharp in all of this? What does he have to say?
That ain't got nothing to do with me. Guys, the news of the day, absolutely, it doesn't. What y'all want me to say?
That ain't got nothing to do with us.
Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with me. So there's nothing to address. I don't know why everybody if you notice, everybody's posted it. They got me. In the 42 pages, it don't mention nothing about Shannon Sharp did anything. But y'all want to get clicks, so y'all mention me.
Right. Yep, ain't got nothing to do with us.
So basically, Shannon Sharp said, my name is Bennett, don't bring me in it. My name is West, keep me out of that mess. He's minding his business, doing whatever he's doing with Ocho Cinco and his other podcasts, whatever. He don't want any parts of it. And I certainly hope he didn't do anything with these women. Like I said, I don't believe that he did. If you know what I'm talking about, if you get my drift. But like I said, if he didn't do anything, then he has the right to say, leave me out of it. I ain't had nothing to do with it, and keep on going about his day. They got to deal with this because this is what they did. This is what they cooked up. This is the mess that they created. They are the ones who have to handle it now. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.